What up, y'all? J-Chip Show here, and you're watching Captain Algebra.
Hey everybody, Captain Algebra here, and I'm here with my pickups for September of 2019. This is very late, I know, but as many of you know, I was hospitalized for pneumonia last week, and so just trying to catch up. So let's get started right away. First one's a Wii title, and that's the Blob. So pick up the Blob 2 last month, and then I'd been wanting this one too, and it's very similar. You go around doing little activities, taking ink and colorizing the world, freeing the gradients and turning them colors and stuff like that. It's pretty fun, and it's a nice cheap game. Then the only retro game I got this month, Thunder Force 3. So this is part of the Retro Game Brews High Score Challenge, and out of the 10 games, I think there's 4 of them I didn't have. One of them I'm borrowing from Megadan, this one I didn't have, then Moonwalker and Outrun. And so I was just looking, found a really good deal for this one, and I've heard really good things. Nefarious West is my go-to when it comes to shooters, and when he says a shooter's good, I definitely want to pick it up, and he highly recommended this one, and I've really liked it so far. I do like how you can select your the level you want to start at, which is cool, but I do feel like there's a certain order that works best, because I have tried some of the other levels, and when you're not powered up, it makes it much tougher. But it's cool because you get different types of shots as you go through the level, picking power-ups up. Some of them shoot behind you, some of them only shoot forward, but it's pretty cool. The bosses are pretty big and cool, but I've really liked this so far. Can't wait to get more into it, especially when it comes up for the Retro Game Brews High Score Challenge. And we got 4 Switch games this time. First one's actually not physical, so I got Contra Rogue Core, and this one's because of Gaming Off the Grid. As many of you know, they went to the red carpet event, I guess you want to call it, the rollout of the game out in Seattle, and so they got some digital codes, and they know how much of a fan of Contra I am, so they gave me one, even though they knew I wasn't a huge fan of the game. And while it's not a Contra game to me, there's too many problems with it. There's a timer, you can't even stop the timer, which is stupid. You can't pause it. The guns overheat. There's just the controls aren't the greatest in my opinion. It's kind of slow paced almost. Even though it's a twin stick shooter, it seems slow. When I think Contra, think run and gun. But if you take the Contra name off of it, it's a decent game. Is it great? No, but it's still decent. It can be kind of fun. But you slap that Contra name on it, it's got to meet high expectations, and it doesn't. But I'm very, very appreciative of them giving me the code and let me get a chance to try it out. I probably would have bought it eventually anyways, just would have let the price drop down. But it's a decent game. It's just not a Contra game. Next one is from Strictly Limited, and that's 99 Vidas. So I'm a huge fan of beat 'em ups, many of you know, and when I saw Strictly Limited was releasing this one, it was a must-buy for me. And it's a solid beat 'em up. It really reminds me of Streets of Rage series, just because of the moves you can do. You can grab people and do moves that way. You've got different combos you can do, and whether it's punching and kicking, you can do charge attacks, where you dash at someone and attack them that way. You can get weapons to attack people. You eat food to gain your health back. There's special moves. So it's pretty good. It definitely is not as refined as a game like Streets of Rage. I think there's definitely some problems with it. There's some cheap moments, it feels like. But still, there's boss fights. It's your typical beat 'em up. And there's multiple characters you can pick from that range in strength and speed and stuff like that. So that's pretty cool. Next Switch game I got, Star Wars Pinball. So I think I saw Metal Jesus post this on Twitter, either that or John Riggs, and as soon as I saw this, I'm like, I had to have it. I'm not a huge fan of pinball. I'm terrible at it. I'm not very good at timing the hits and getting the ball to go where I want it to go. I never remember to use tilt, and I know that's a big part of playing pinball. But I could not pass up Star Wars, and it's pretty cool. There's tons of different tables with different objectives and stuff, and it looks gorgeous. Even though I'm not into how games look, I think it looks pretty cool. And it feels like the physics of the pinball is good. I mean, I don't know because I don't play a ton of pinball, but it feels right. I mean, I feel like I've played some pinball games that it does not feel right. So, Star Wars Pinball, it's pretty cheap. Pick it up. And then last, this one actually came from Limited Run, but I didn't pick it up from them, but I did find it at Best Buy. Toe Jam and Earl, Back in the Groove. So this is such a weird game. You go around trying to find the pieces of your spaceship. And there's an easy mode where the levels are always the same, and then there's the harder difficulties where it changes every time. But you can pick up presents that give you different powers as you try to avoid the humans. There are some good humans that sparkle, and you can get money from them. You can get presents from them. They help you out as you go. But I really like how they allow you to pick characters. So you can pick the new Toe Jam and Earl, or you can pick the old school Toe Jam and Earl, which is pretty cool, as well as some other characters. I really like the how there's a reversible cover that makes it look like a Genesis cover, as well as a very large color manual, which we don't see enough these days. So the rest are PS4. After last month where I got more Switch than PS4, I couldn't let that happen again. So let's get into the PS4. First one, Aragami. So Aragami was a game I heard about that looked pretty sweet. Now it's a stealth game, which I'm not huge into stealth, but it works pretty well. So you're an undead assassin that was called, you're a vengeful spirit that was called because the Kaiho, the Lords of the Light, took over this town and killed a lot of people. So this girl wants you to help her get vengeance. And basically you control the shadows. You can leap from shadow to shadow. And if you're in there, you've got power. And then you're all black except for like little white runes on the back of your cloak, which tells you the amount of power you have. And if you go into the light, you turn red and you're much more visible. So you go around doing stealth kills. You can do aerial kills. If a corpse is found, you lose points. So you actually get graded on each mission. When I first put this in, I was a little worried. It was very choppy and just didn't seem to work right. But then I ended up updating it and it worked just fine. But I know this is also on the Switch. I think it is more collectible on the Switch. It seems like the price has stayed higher for that one. But this one is the collector's edition. So it includes the digital soundtrack and digital art book. I don't know if the Switch included that one. But definitely, it's a cheap game, especially for PS4. So if you see it and you like stealth games, I suggest you try it out. Next game I've been wanting for a while, Mortal Kombat XL. Not a huge fighting game fan, but this one always intrigued me because they had Jason and Leatherface and Predator and Alien, and I've always loved those characters. So of course, when I first played this, those were the characters I used. I'm just terrible at figuring out controls and doing combos, so I'm kind of a button masher when it comes to fighting games. But I do like how the moves are pretty easy to pull off. There's the move list that you can go to the pause menu to find, as well as tells you the fatalities and stuff. I wish I could remember when I was capturing game footage how to do the X-ray moves, where you, like, as you're hitting them, you see the bones break and stuff. But I couldn't remember. But still, it's a lot of fun. And I love where they went with the Mortal Kombat series. Just like how gory it is now. It's pretty cool to me, and I love how they added those like horror icons into the game. Next one is another one from Strictly Limited, Necrosphere Deluxe. So I picked this one up when I picked up 99 Vitas, and the reason I got it was because it's a retro style platformer. But what's interesting about this one is you can't actually jump. The only two buttons are to move you left and right, and then there's like what they call gravity bubbles that you can bounce around and stuff. And there's different things to collect. But basically what the story is you were an agent and you died in a fight, and so you were sent to the Necrosphere, and now you're trying to get out. But the Necrosphere is as big as the world, and so it's pretty big, and it's pretty crazy some of the things you have to do to get the timing right to get past certain things, especially since you can't jump. It's just moving left and right and using the gravity bubbles correctly. What is nice is when you die, you immediately respawn, and so it's not a game you get really frustrated with because you can keep trying over and over and over again. But definitely a fun game. If you can still find it cheap, definitely go for it. Next was one that I saw from Metal Jesus on his last pick a video with Radical Reggie, Psyvariar Delta. So this is a bullet hell shooter, which I'm terrible at bullet hell shooters, but I've been a sucker for shooters lately. Nefarious West recommended some to me, and I started playing them, and I've actually noticed that I'm better at them than I thought. But bullet hell, no. What's cool though is off to the top right, there's actually a close-up of your ship. So as bullets are coming, you can watch that part to help steer yourself around. But still, there are some times where I have no clue how you get through some of this with how many bullets are on the screen. It's pretty crazy. But it seems like it's just unlimited lives. You just keep going, which is good for me because otherwise this game would be way too hard for me. But it's a solid shooter, good music, and I don't think there are a lot of copies made. I know when I looked it up, there was only one copy at GameStop. Luckily, it had the original artwork and stuff. So definitely keep an eye out for it. I think it's around $20 right now, and it's getting harder to find. So if you like shooters, especially bullet hell shooters, check it out. Another game I've been wanting that actually came out on other consoles in the past, and then they redid it, and that is Catherine Full Body Edition. So the last 3 cons I've gone to this year, Midwest Gaming Classic, Mo Game Con, and Too Many Games, I've been looking for this on 360 and I could never find it. But I knew the Full Body Edition was coming out, so I figured I'd grab it. It's got a cool steelbook, which I love steelbooks. And it's a really weird game that's like a puzzler. And I'm not even sure what the full story is. I think it's something about, like, you've got a girlfriend named Catherine, but these other girls come into your life, so she gets jealous, and it's really weird. So you, like, dream these things up where you need to climb these towers and push blocks and move blocks to help climb the tower. And as you're climbing, the bottom of the tower is falling out. Unless you're playing easy, which that's what I was doing this time, just to kind of get a feel for it, because the first time I played it, I kept getting stuck. So I wanted to, figure out some of the levels. But then there's some good cut scenes. I really like the art style, and you even get to interact with them. There's a part where you're sitting in a pizza shop, and you need to respond or not respond to your girlfriend's texts, and you decide what you want to text. And then there's a meter that changes depending on what you answer. But I've heard really good things about the Full Body Edition. They've added new things that really add to the game. I still want to get the original because I'm all about playing original games first, but definitely had to pick that one up. Next game, Shadow of the Colossus. So you guys, if you follow me on Twitter, you saw that I did recently beat Shadow of Colossus on PS2, which is a fantastic game, but I don't love the controls. So I want to see if this one's any different. And there were some times during the game where it was just hard to see what you had to do, just because, PS2 graphics versus PS4, huge difference. And so this game does not disappoint. Now, they did change some of the controls, so that was hard to remember, like, okay, no, on PS1 this button grabs, PS2 this button grabs, but on PS4 this button grabs and holds on. But it's a really cool game. I highly recommend it. The story is great. Definitely an interesting ending. But basically, it's one big boss rush mode. You go from Colossus to Colossus. It's a puzzle. You got to figure out how to take them down. And some of them are pretty fun. Some of them can be very frustrating. But it's a very good game. Even if you don't start with the PS version, which I always recommend, start with the original. Pick up this version. It's great. And finally, the last game, the best game that I picked up this month. When I beat it, I gushed about it on Twitter. It is fantastic. And that's The Messenger. I absolutely love this game. I heard great things when it first came out, but you guys know me, I'm all about physical media. I'm not a huge digital guy. And so I wanted to wait for it to come out on physical, and I was not disappointed. I got the Special Reserve Edition versus Limited Run because Limited Run was charging the $5 for shipping, whereas Special Reserve, you got it free. So I'm like, sweet, I saved $5, even if it's the same game. But then you look at the stuff that this came with. It came up with a manual, it came up with an art book, and it came with a set of stickers. And it was still $5 cheaper than Limited Run. So Special Reserve does a great job with their games. But this is basically an 8-bit/16-bit action platformer, very similar to Ninja Gaiden. Some of the moves you can do are so fun. The cloud step where you hit something. If you attack something, you can jump again. You get different upgrades as you go. There's certain power seals you have to find to unlock something later in the game. It's just a lot of fun. Fun boss fights with good patterns. There's some frustrating moments if you're trying to 100% it, but it never makes you want to quit. You just want to keep going and going and going. And there's a new game plus, there's DLC. It is just a fantastic game. I love how they introduced the time travel aspect later on, where you find little time rifts and it switches you from 8-bit to 16-bit. Very, very cool. The music is fantastic. It's one of those soundtracks I think I could listen to all the time. If you have not played The Messenger, you need to get it. Even if you don't get it physical, if you're fine with digital media, pick it up digitally. It is amazing. It is such a good game. I cannot say enough about it. It is just great. So there you guys go. There are my pickups for September. a little later than normal, but obviously things got in the way. So, but glad to finally get it out. Let me know what you guys think about these games, which ones you're interested in, which ones you played, which ones I should try to play next. You know, obviously I already played through the Messenger, but I feel like a good solid month. Yeah, so thanks for watching. Until next time, this is Captain Algebra, signing off.